Yo, what's going on, everyone? Welcome to the first episode of a new series I'm calling Cards in the Red Zone. This is going to be a series where we talk about football cards and what's going on around in the NFL. And it'll also be me documenting my journey on learning more and more about football cards as we go on in the future. My name is Donnie, and I want to give a little bit of backstory about like my intro into cards and where I'm at right now compared with where I was. So I got into the card market around in 2020, like a lot of other people, either getting into it for the first time or getting back into it after years of like a hiatus from sports cards. And what got me into it originally was the potential for another source of income. Like probably a lot of people, I went into it with the mentality of trying to make some kind of profit off cards, and it was something that I definitely jumped into a little bit too quick. I didn't really take enough time to learn about the industry and learn about what cards, are more in demand than others. And it was the very wrong reason to get into cards. But over time, I've kind of learned how to collect for me. And then I'm still learning about the investment side, or like how to flip and do that kind of a thing. That's still, I think, is going to be like a forever learning process, but we are kind of getting better at it. I haven't really made any strides in trying to flip or invest in any cards lately, but like I said, we're still learning around the ropes. 2020 kicks off, COVID hits, and everyone's kind of looking for a thing to do since we can't go anywhere. We're pretty much stuck at the house, and then that's when the card market kicks off, the collectible market in general, I guess. But when we started getting like stimulus checks for the US, I don't know if other countries did or not, but when we started getting our stimulus checks, it was probably like the second one we were getting, and we were actually able to go out to stores and stuff. Like obviously you had to like wear a mask and everything, but it was to a point where you could actually go and like be in, out in the world like we were. And I went, I think it was a card shop in Orlando. I forgot what the shop was called. I think it was just Orlando Sports Cards. I went there one day, and it was the first time I bought a hobby box of cards. Now, this will tell you where my research didn't come in. I bought a box of Leaf XR football and Illuminance football for 2020. Now, however, those products, in the sense of reselling, fetch very little value unless you hit like case hits of Luminance, and then you have to sell it right away because Luminance, there's all the players are still in their all the rookies are still in their college jerseys, so it's just it's not a high resale product. However, it's kind of like a bad and good, because buying that first box of Luminance, I love the set, I love the photography of the cards. I'm actually trying to collect the full base set of the 2020 Luminance set. I love the design, the borderless cards, photography is great. Like, by far one of my favorite products to look at. Not for the reselling value, but just for me. I just want to make that crystal clear, where I'm not like, naive about Luminance being a lower tier. That I already know that, but like I said, it's just for my personal liking. But those are the first two hobby boxes I bought. I actually ended up buying another hobby box of Luminance, and then I also did one of Donruss, I think 2020, and Phoenix 2020. I really like Phoenix. These are products where it was just like, I really wasn't sure what I was doing, but like, I did some looking online. I like the look of it. Heard, Donruss is actually a decent, it's like actually a decent lower end product where like the rated rookies start and all that kind of thing. So I didn't think that was a bad choice. And Phoenix at the time just looked cool to me. And I actually did pull probably the most expensive card I've ever had, which was a Joe Burrow Rising Rookie RPA. Out of 75, which I unfortunately had to sell. So unfortunately I don't have that card anymore. I wish I did. But that's been kind of my experience when I first got into it. Right now I'm more focused on kind of buy singles, being a little bit more select on what I'm buying, what players I'm buying. I'm pretty much going toward like Eagles players right now. That's kind of like my big thing, and then keep collecting for my Luminance PC. That's kind of the main cards I'm buying right now. From 2020 to 2022, I've been working in golf for a long time, and I was starting to like transition out of it. And around middle of 2022, I found Leighton Sports Cards, which was at the time right next to my house. They had a post on Instagram. I applied, went in, and I got hired for sorting and shipping. Now I'm a top loader there, but then so I ended up working in sports cards, which I currently am now. And it's been a blast. It's fun. It's not a lot of time, not a lot of jobs have I had the enthusiasm, to go to work and like not dread it, you know what I mean? So in a really good spot there. Really like everyone I work with. Everyone's great there. And I'm learning a lot. They have a few people there very knowledgeable about the industry, and I'm learning quite a bit. I'm trying to learn as much as I can. Yeah, so that's kind of where I'm at right now in the hobby, and trying to figure out how to flip. Obviously, when you're only having one sports market to like flip, you only have like, it's not like if you're going after every sport you'd have all year. Now you only focus on one. There's a buying season, then there's a selling season, and we'll talk about more of that in the future. But I just wanted to give a little backstory on myself and how I got introduced in the hobby, where I'm at now, and what kind of cards I'm looking to buy. In this first episode, we're not going to talk about too much about cards. I just wanted to like an introduction, and then this is coming out Saturday, so like a day before the Super Bowl. So I just want to make like predictions. I want to actually talk about the Pro Bowl as well, because that happened obviously like a couple days ago. And I forgot we had the award winners too. We have like the offensive rookie, defensive rookie, offensive player, MVP. Shout out to Mahomes for winning that again. But let's jump back to the Pro Bowl, because I kind of wanted to give my thoughts on it. It's the first Pro Bowl we've seen kind of like this, where we don't have a game. It's like flag football. Then they did like a whole bunch of other stuff I think they did for the first time this year. I didn't get to catch all of it, so the things that I didn't catch, I'm not really going to comment on. We obviously had dodgeball. That's been a consistent thing for the last, feels like 3 to 4 years. That's always like kind of meh in my opinion. Dodgeball is dodgeball. It's always fun, but I don't know. Just it wasn't too exciting. It was kind of just like it's been for the last few years. So that was kind of just like meh. The lightning round I didn't get to see. That was like with like, I guess they had like a water balloon toss and like a couple of other things. I didn't get to see it, but I didn't hear great things about it. That's one I'll have to like go back later and watch and see exactly how it was. But I can't really comment on that. However, from what I've heard on like Pat McAfee show and that kind of stuff, like it did not get a good it didn't get like a good perception. I don't know if I used that word right. It didn't have good feedback. There we go. It didn't feel like it was a positive event to have. So that's one I'm gonna have to rewatch sometime. It had the longest drive, which I thought was really funny. Well, not as much funny as it was just fun to watch. Athletes, pro athletes try a different sport, because that's like golf's a big one for like Rodgers, Josh Allen, like all the quarterbacks play a lot of golf, and then like Larry Fitzgerald plays. Granted, he's not in the league anymore, but you know what I mean. It's just fun to watch them try a sport that I know. Some people that don't understand like the golf swing and stuff, they might not have seen it as much fun as I did. But I thought it was a great event. I think that was a positive. I think that was a good one to add. So I'll give that a thumbs up. Didn't get to watch the precision passing, but I'm assuming it's been the last who knows how long, with moving obstacles, the points, and those are always actually kind of fun to watch. I enjoy watching like how actually accurate the quarterbacks are with like those small targets. So that's always fun. The best catch was kind of lacking this year. I think they had 2 rounds. They had like a prop round, and then they had like I don't know what the other round was considered, but that one was like okay. I thought last year's was better. I think what they need to do for that, they need to add more contestants and they need to add more rounds. I think 2 rounds of that with, I feel like it was just Stephon Diggs and Amon-Ra. So I don't remember the other. I know like Justin Jefferson and them, they had like an off-site best catch. Yeah, it felt like it was just Diggs and Amon-Ra. And I feel like if you add some more contestants and like more rounds for, you know, whatever it is, I think it's probably more exciting and more fun to watch. But this year, I just didn't care for it. They added the move the chains, which was like an offensive D lineman thing, offensive line, defensive line thing, which I thought was good for them. You know, I don't feel like there's a lot of Pro Bowl activities that cater for the line for either side. So I thought that was, you know, that was fine. It was like a tractor pull type of thing. I'll give that a thumbs up. I think they can like take that and kind of improve on it for next year for the Pro Bowl games. I really enjoyed the Gauntlet this year. The Gauntlet was fun to watch. Granted, it's very similar to how it is every year, but I feel like this year was a little bit, I think it felt like they added more to it, and I could be wrong, but I'll also give the Gauntlet a thumbs up. Thought that was good. Then I think this was the kick-tack-toe. I don't think they did this last year. I think they had a long snap, a punt, and a field goal, and they had like a tic-tac-toe board in the goalposts, or between the goalposts. So that was kind of fun to watch, like the special teams kind of get like their own little game to play. I think it would have been cool though if we add like a longest field goal and a longest punt, or a best accurate punt, like the best like coffin corner punts or something like that. I think if they add something similar to that next year, I think that would be cool for kickers and punters, because we don't really have anything for them. I feel like they had this in the past, like a long time ago in the Pro Bowl games. I feel like they had something like this, but I could be wrong. But I think they should add that for next year in the Pro Bowl. I think that was like the majority or all of the games. I could have missed like 1 or 2, but overall, I don't think it was a bad Pro Bowl. Oh, flag football, duh, the main event. I actually didn't mind the flag football. I've played adult like competitive flag football for a couple of years, and it's actually really fun. I know in the past, like the Pro Bowl game was like a legit football game, but we're moving into a place where, or an era, if you want to call it, where it's like, I'm okay with the Pro Bowl, the actual game not being tackle. Like I'm okay with that not being an actual game, because the last thing we want is to see our players get hurt, or like even if they're not on our team, like players that have, you know, a chance to be really great tear an ACL or do something where they're going to be out of like half of next year's season. Like I'm okay with them going into this like flag football style, like 7-on-7, which is kind of becoming like really popular, especially down here in Florida, with like what Destroying does with like high schoolers and stuff. I think it's fine. Like I personally enjoyed watching it still. Some of the quarterbacks still threw like really good passes. Some receivers still made really good catches. Like it's still football, but it's not. So I don't know. I didn't mind it. I thought it was fine the way it was. Yeah, you can still get injured on that, but it's like probably 90% less than if they were playing an actual game. Like I said, if it's gonna avoid injuries and we're not gonna have people sit out a season because of a Pro Bowl injury, I'm okay with it. Totally fine with it. And I think overall the Pro Bowl was fine this year. I didn't mind it. Like if I would have been able to sat down and actually watch it, I think I would have watched it. I think take the water balloon toss thing out. I think you take that out. Maybe give some more games to special teams players and like positions that maybe aren't recognized as much. Like I know the O-line and D-line are getting more attention as the years go on, which is good. But maybe give them like another style game where it's like a 6-man sled and they have to like push it like 20 yards, whatever team does it faster. I think something like that could have been cool. But yeah, I mean, we'll see what they add next year. But overall, I think Pro Bowl was going in a positive way forward. So I'm gonna rate it a success this year. I know this first episode's not gonna be very long, but like I said, I'm just trying to get this out before Super Bowl. And now, speaking of Super Bowl, we're gonna go on to predictions. Obviously, Eagles against the Chiefs. As the day gets closer, I get more excited, but I'm not one of those people to go like crazy. I'm not one of those like, I'm not one of those guys, so I'm not gonna pretend to be. Like the day of or the day before, I'll start getting a little bit more excited / nervous about it. Being realistic, Mahomes probably had enough time to rest. However, if he is not 100%, I think the Eagles probably win this. Granted, it's going to be like by 3 or 7 points. It's going to be a very close game. But if Mahomes isn't 100%, I think Eagles. I think he alone is going to be the difference maker for the Chiefs. Granted, the Chiefs have a solid defense. I don't know if Snead's going to be healthy. I don't know the details of his injury he sustained. I want to say the AFC Championship game. Or it might have been the game before that. I don't remember exactly. But if Snead's out, that's going to hurt them. I believe Kadarius Toney and Juju will be playing, but I think Valdez was labeled as questionable. I think Kadarius and Juju were labeled as probable. Valdez, I think, was labeled as questionable. And then obviously you have Kelsey, who's going to be a menace if we don't guard him. We need to put, I'm not going to say put Darius Slay on him, but we need to put one of our better corners, because I don't think a linebacker can guard Kelsey. I really don't. I think we put one of our best corners on Kelsey the whole game. At least have someone on him every single play, because he is too much of a weapon for Mahomes to leave unguarded for even one play. So I think Eagles need to do that. We need to limit Kelsey. I think if we can limit Kelsey, and Mahomes already does a good job of spreading the ball around. So, but I think we need to limit him, and we need to just contain Mahomes. Like you see a lot of times when teams get pressure on Mahomes, he finds that gap to step up or to get outside. Like we need to contain him. The less amount of plays he can extend, definitely in our favor. And that's kind of just football 101. But he's gonna be almost alone. You know, the key to if the Chiefs win. Like even if we lock up Kelsey, which I think should be our number one priority, if not number two, I think Mahomes 100% healthy is too much of a playmaker for like any team. And we have a great defense. Like we were number 3, I think we were number 3 in takeaways during the regular season or something similar to that. We had 2 of the top 3 corners in the league. You know, our defensive stats were very good. There's no reason I shouldn't have faith in our defense, which I do. It's just Mahomes is that good. Like he's just built different. Literally, he is a freak in this league. But I think that is really my only concern. Can we stop Mahomes? I'm hoping, but I don't know. Not 100% sure. However, I do think this is, and Jalen Hurts has proven himself all year. I know people are going to say we had a weak schedule. We played some teams that were banged up. You know, whatever excuses they want to give. Has Hurts' passing been amazing this year? He's missed some throws, sure. I mean, there's definitely areas he can improve on, but considering last year to this year, I think it's like a night and day difference almost. Like the plays he can extend on his feet, the QB sneak, for crying out loud. Like, I know that's not all him. That's a lot to do with Jason Kelsey and the O-line. But, like, you know, I think he is taking a lot of strides to be where he is. And I think he's only going to get better. So I'm definitely really excited to see Hurts play in this Super Bowl. You see him in interviews and all he talks about is the process, taking it week by week. Like I think one, we've got a true leader, and 2, he's just a competitor. He wants to win. And the only issue with Hurts that he's been doing a decent job of it this season. I don't want to see it where he feels like he has to do too much. Josh Allen's kind of a perfect example. Like you've seen Josh Allen a lot of times rush plays throw picks where if he just took his time a little bit longer when he had the time to do it, they would have maybe scored a touchdown or maybe not have turned the ball over. I don't want to see Jalen fall into that trap. Like, all he has to do is play the way he's been playing all season. If the pass isn't there, he sees a gap for a run, take off and run. Like, that's what he does. Like, that's his style. Like, there's no reason why he shouldn't play that style. So I think Jalen just needs to take it play by play, do what you've been doing all season. Don't feel like you have to force something, because if that happens, then if the turnovers start piling, we give Mahomes extra chances. We can't have that. So just smart football, and all of our players on our roster can do that. I think overall, on paper, Eagles have the better team, but the Chiefs just have those couple players that are the difference makers. Not saying we don't have any, but they just have, I think, in Kelsey and Mahomes, the two better ones on the field. That's where I'm going to leave that. But I think Eagles win. I'm going to call it like a 3 to 7 point game. Let's just give it a score of either 31-28 or like 27-24. I don't know. Somewhere around there, though. I feel like that's a pretty solid score. And hopefully the Eagles come away with another championship. This is our second appearance in 5 years, so pretty solid. Since I've been an Eagles fan since like back in like 2002 or whenever I started liking Philly. So yeah, well, it'll be interesting. I think it's gonna be one of the best games that we've seen in a minute. So I'm really excited for Sunday. Okay, now the last thing I want to talk about. I'm gonna try to make these series episodes like a 4-topic, kind of like 4 downs in football, like that kind of thing. So we're gonna try to have 4 topics, and I'm on to my last topic really quick. I just want to give, because this is going to be generally a card podcast, so in the first episode I would like to talk about cards a little bit. I'm just going to give a list of a few players I'm going to be looking into this off season. I noted a couple, but there's a couple that I didn't have a chance to write down. Also, this is before looking at prices. I haven't really looked at a bunch of prices. For a couple of these guys I have, but for the most I haven't. So this is going into, before the research starts. I'm going to kind of list who I think, and then I'll do some research, and then on the next episode I'll kind of compile what I found. First off, Josh Palmer. Talks are Chargers might be moving away from Keenan Allen, and due to his injury history, I wouldn't blame them, but Keenan is, he's a possession guy. He's like that guy you want on 3rd and long, or, a critical down. Like, it would be interesting to see the Chargers move on from him because of his ability, but he has been suffering a decent amount of injuries lately, so I wouldn't blame them. However, if they do that, probably going to keep Mike Williams. I would assume you can't let both of those guys go. You have to keep at least one. But if that happens, that's going to give Palmer, he's going to move up in a more critical role, I think, if they get rid of one of those two guys. So that's going to give him more targets, more chances to make plays. He had about 700 some yards receiving this year with like 103 targets, something like that. So I think next year, if he's a number 1 or a number 2, probably a number 2, I think he might, with Justin Herbert being his quarterback, I think he might be able to push for a 1,000-yard season. It's going to be his 3rd year, so we'll see what happens. But I think there's a decent potential for him to have a solid season. Whether the Chargers make it to the playoffs again or not, who knows with that team. But I think, he has a big game or big couple of weeks in a row. It might be like an investing flip style buy. Maybe he's not long term, depending on where the Chargers end up in the playoff run. But I think there's probably going to be some potential where you can buy maybe an auto for like $30 and maybe be able to sell it during the season for like 50 or something. I don't know. I'm just throwing out a guess. Like I said, I'm going to do more research on this kind of stuff, but I think Palmer's a buy. I'm going to be looking into buying him for sure. It's just, what's the price range is going to be the big thing. I'm also going to be talking a lot more, I think, about budget cards than high end, because I'm not in a position to go after high end cards myself. So if you are someone that like wants to learn about sports cards and like football cards primarily, and want to learn about prices and this kind of thing for like budget cards, this might be a good series for you to follow, just because we're going to be talking a lot about that. I don't know if it's going to be a shock or not, but Jared Goff, and I'm not saying Jared Goff for long term, but you look at the Lions down the stretch this season, I don't know if it's the coach, I don't know if it's the system that's got Goff playing well, I don't know if it's the talent around him. I mean, Goff has been to a Super Bowl, if I'm correct on my history of the NFL. Like, he didn't win, but I'm pretty sure he got the Rams there at least one year. So it's not like he can't do the job. Maybe he's not a long-term hold, but with the Lions offense and their weapons, I think he might be a guy to pick up in the offseason. And then, he's got Jamian Williams, Amon-Ra St. Brown, DeAndre Swift. Like, he's got a good foundation around him. So he could be one of those quarterbacks that has a good, like, solid week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks maybe. And, we see it increase in his demand. I don't know though. Like I said, I'm going to conduct some more research and see, but I think Goff might have another solid year in Detroit, or like a full solid year, not just like a solid back half of a season. But we'll see how that goes. Najee Harris is another one. Pittsburgh is a really good market, along with like Dallas for just like fan base and that kind of a thing. So even with Najee not producing like we thought he would, like, I think people will still want his cards. And honestly, he did still have 1,000-year rushing season. Didn't seem like it, but he still got over the 1,000-yard mark. So that's pretty solid for not being 100%. He's going to have a full offseason to recover. We're going to go into Pickett's second year. He'll know the offense. I don't know how much longer Tomlin will be there, but it sounds like his future is uncertain. But if he's still there, then, I mean, you're going to be working with the same offense. Pickett knows it. I think Pickens will have a good, solid second year. Freiermuth's a good tight end. Like, I don't think they're going to be like a one-dimensional team. I think they'll be able to pass and run the ball. And with Najee having a full offseason to recover, to be 100% healthy to go in the next season, maybe we'll see a little bit more of what we've seen in his rookie year. But he'll be someone I'm looking into. Maybe people have kind of like got off the hype about him where his prices are lower. I'll update that in the next episode. Joe Burrow, guy's been 2 AFC championships in the last 2 years. I mean, I think he's going to be one of those players that just hyped his whole career, I think, as long as he keeps doing what he's doing. So even if I think he's a long-term hold. If you don't want to sell him right away, I think he's definitely long-term. I think he's going to be the face. I won't say the face of the franchise he'll be the face of the Bengals franchise, but I don't think he'll be the face of the league. I think Mahomes will still have that for the next like 10 years, but Burrow's going to be right behind him, I feel like. So, I think Burrow's going to have very good long-term value. The way it's looking, the way he's shown what he can do. As long as Cincinnati can protect him and keep his weapons, I know they're probably going to get rid of Higgins because they probably won't be able to afford him. But I think if you just keep good talent around him that he can work with, I think Burrow's going to have a great NFL career, which gives him a long-term value. I would assume. I have more than just 5, but I have to get going, so I'll just leave this with another 2020 quarterback, Justin Herbert. We talked about Chargers earlier. I honestly think that their coaching is god-awful. I think this was the second year that Herbert had the same offensive coordinator and head coach, but honestly, it did not look great. I mean, he still put a lot of numbers up in the air. I think he had 20 something touchdowns with 10 picks or something along that line. They did make it to the playoffs, didn't advance, but they did make it this year. So that's, that's a positive. But I think the coaching in Los Angeles has to change. Granted, I think Herbert, talent-wise, is what they need. I think he's solid. Like, he's going to throw picks, but he's also not afraid to give his receivers chances. Not afraid to, chuck it 60 yards downfield and try to get a one-on-one win. Like, he's just one of those guys that, yeah, he's going to throw interceptions, but he's probably going to do a lot better. I think you're going to see a lot more positive things from Herbert than negative, even if he does throw a pick here and there. That's just how, he trusts his receivers and he trusts his arm. Like, if he thinks he can make a throw, he's going to throw it. Like, sometimes he will, sometimes he won't. But I think Herbert's a solid buy, especially for probably long term as well. But for the team to have success, I think Los Angeles definitely needs to change up their coaching. I forget their head coach's name, but like, he has made a lot of calls that have cost the Chargers wins, and not only this season but last season. And I think that needs to change. I think they could have won a lot more games and probably could have been a better team if a few of those calls this year were different. Play calling, not like officiating or anything like that. But yeah, so those are like 5 guys I'm going to be really looking into, and I've got another like 5 or 8 that I'm interested in as well. We'll get into that another day, but I'm going to leave off here because I have to go. I hope this was kind of like a solid start to something. Like I said, this is going to be, just to kind of recap, this series is going to be not only to try to help others that want to get into this like hobby, that's what it is, or a chance to make some kind of extra money, which I'm still learning too. Just throwing it out there. The opinions I give and stuff, I'm gonna do my research, but I would advise everyone to do their own before jumping on something I say. Not the things I say are all gonna be like opinionated, hopefully backed up by research. This is just going to kind of be my outlet to talk football and football cards, and kind of me learning and sharing whatever I learn with you guys. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. If you did, subscribe to the channel, hit that button, give this video a like. I'm going to try to put these out. No, you know what? I always say I try. I'm going to be putting these out Friday. This Saturday is a little bit different because I'm trying to just get this out before the Super Bowl, but these will drop Friday. I know it's a weird time for a football podcast to start, but this gives me the off season to, get experience with just sitting down, talking, doing like the research of cards and learning how to do that before the season hits. So, off season, great time for me to practice and learn. And I hope you guys will enjoy this series and listen along. I want to have this not only on YouTube, but other audio platforms such as Spotify and all that. So I will share information when I can figure out how to do that. And yeah, I believe that's all. So have a good rest of your day, everybody. We'll see you on the next episode. Take care.